Okay, everybody hear me okay? Last year we did this and I swore this is a stupid idea because nobody could hear me, so I'll try to speak as loudly as I can. If you can't hear me, then you probably won't be able to hear me. There is no resolution. First, thank you very much for being here. This is sort of definitely, as you can hear from the piped-in noises that we're giving you for this real-life experience, there's a lot going on, and if you've ever been to a show floor at this point in time, it is insanity for the next 12 hours getting this thing finalized and ready. So for most people, yes, we're very calm here, as you can see. So I'm going to hit a couple of the topics to just sort of bring you up to speed on what we're trying to make sure our attendee experience is here. But first, a couple of quick facts. We kind of had a stretch goal this year of about 2,000 attendees, and last year we got to a total of 2,100 last week. So we were extremely excited about the registration and being able to drive it. It's been a really great year for us. The other pieces from a partner standpoint, the number of partner sponsors has been overwhelming. We not only sold out partner sponsors, we oversold partner sponsors. So a lot of the things that we're driving along those lines has been really excellent. And then the third piece is, with so many more people, the scale of this, if this is, are most people here last year as well, or how many newbies first year? A lot of newbies, awesome. So the scale of this is much larger than last year as well, in terms of the obvious thing is the number of people that are here, but the amount of content and certain things that were extremely popular last year that we'll take you through, like hands-on labs, like meet the developers. Last year we had 9, 11, 10. We had 10 developers here last year because we thought maybe some one-on-one meetings with developers, and they were completely overwhelmed. So now we've more than doubled the number of developers that'll have one-on-one sessions. There's a ton of whiteboarding going on, and a lot of acronyms that the people in marketing like myself don't understand, but it's extremely valuable for them. Some of the people in marketing, others in marketing understand them. In terms of what we're trying to overall accomplish here, you can see from a lot of what you'll hear in the keynote sessions and hopefully throughout this show floor, all of the content is designed to try to bring to life this whole concept of the path to remarkable. And I was telling a group earlier today that the path to remarkable concept really came from, there's a whole lot of technology companies out there talking about how there's remarkable things happening in business today. A lot of commercials on TV talk about these incredible things happening, and actually what it was a Microsoft commercial about what they're doing with the PGA and all these incredible things they're doing with data. And what struck us was that if you rewind a lot of these companies 12 months or 18 months or 24 months, there's a lot of things they need to do to set up themselves to be on that path to do remarkable things with their data. And that's sort of the origin of this. As we walk around the show floor here, first I'll tell you the obvious, be careful. There is a lot of things to trip on. They're just starting to put down the white carpet. The reason that you're sort of standing on a lot of the cement here is the white carpet goes down at the end for obvious reasons. So I will, first, I don't think he's going to want to stand on the stool here, but I also want to hand this over initially for Al Bunty to scream at the group and maybe do a quick welcome, and then I'm going to introduce Mark to take us through sort of what the attendee experience is here at the show. So, Mr. Bunty?
I had just told some of the analysts out front that we've been working on my speech all day, and a lot of people are very concerned with I possibly may go long, including him, but don't worry. If I do, I don't care.
Why is this event different than any other event?
Yes. So anyway, I think we've got a really good show put together. Again, very excited to have you guys here. We're all available, should you want to ask questions or get into a deeper discussion. So
great.
Have at it.
Excellent. Thanks, Al. Okay. So it's gotten very quiet all of a sudden, so I found like I'm screaming. First, we'll take you sort of through the overall floor, but maybe before I do so, and I'll hand this over to Mark, I guess.
Hi.
Go for it.
Okay. So my name is Mark. I work closely with Chris and the rest of the team on developing whatever the customer experience is here. So last year we wanted to create a community. So you're standing in the Expo Village. We want to create this village concept with Commvault at the heart of sort of the whole industry. And so what we've done is we've got hands-on labs here. We've got some Meet the Experts here. We basically have a concierge here to basically meet any of the needs that that people have, our guests, that our customers are coming in. And we wanted to keep things very easy for them to find and to locate. We've co-located the breakout sessions and the breakout theaters in the space. And we've spent a lot of time perfecting the technology to be able to create sound zones so that if you're standing in the theater, you can hear the content really well. If you're standing just outside the theater, you can carry on a great conversation and not feel like you're having to yell and scream. We want to create a really nice environment. One of the great things that happened last year was we had a lot of good comments about the approachability and the accessibility of one-to-ones with Commvault, being able to just walk up and talk to them. So we've tried to expand on that this year, and we've opened up the space even more, and we've created a lot of touch points, a lot of people to be able to create those conversations. So we'll go through. Basically, we start with our breakout theater 1 here, go clockwise all the way around the room. We've got some customer showcases like the Dubai Police behind you, which actually the robot is charging behind the wall, but they have an automated robot. Broadcast and some Meet the Experts, and we'll just walk around and take a look. Like I said, like Chris said, just be careful. Some of the carpet's not completely put down. Don't want you tripping. So
Great. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's we'll head over to 1, and then we'll keep the tour going. Okay, so the next piece that you'll see. So a big piece that Mark pointed out is the vibe that we want to create at the show here is really a sense of energy. And a lot of times you come to a show like this and everyone gets together in the keynote theater, and then they come together sometimes in a room like this, but then they're off into different breakout sessions in different rooms around the venue. What we've done here is make sure that we're going to create an environment that they just stay within, and they can have the ability to walk through, see different sessions as they're happening, the opportunity to just pop in, pop out, those kinds of things. So it doesn't have to be quite as formalized in that way. The amount of folks that they're exposed to in terms of not just customers, but prospects that have come to this show, we have about, unlike a lot of shows in the technology industry, which usually you talk about these being customer conferences, here for Commvault, we have about 30% of the customer and prospect attendees. It's about 70% customer and 30% prospect. So there's a large amount of prospects here as well, which is really great for us in terms of one of the indicators that we try to drive. What you see back here is just 2 different studio areas. And the studio areas, I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. It's Tech Field Day and Solutions Review are going to be in each one of these, and just shooting sort of videos and different interviews throughout the day. And then immediately next to it is a social, sort of a social networking lounge where we'll have our social media team and a number of folks that'll be working sort of within that area. We're extremely proud of a lot of the work we've done from a social standpoint over the last really 12 to 18 months in order to build up not just the following, but the overall amount of engagement and really make sure that there's interesting content happening.
So hi everybody, I'm David King. I'm the Director of Solutions Marketing for the regional areas, the partners, and the competitive landscape. So one of the things we wanted to do as we talked about the conference, for us the content is really important. The stories that are told and how the technology impacts folks. So we talked a little bit about the theaters and kind of the experience on it. One of the things we did this year, last year all our theaters were all the same size, which meant we had to have kind of broad topics that could support a certain size audience. This year we have nine different theaters. Some are small, some are really large. So we could do very different topics in the space. As we look at it, one of the things that Mark and the rest of the team wanted to do is make sure it stayed intimate. So the depth of the theaters are all the same as they were last year, even though some of them are 3 times the size in terms of the amount of people in them. So again, really a personal information. Now, as we look at the campus itself, again, we wanted it to be intimate in how it felt. We have the hyperscale booth, which we were talking about earlier, and several of you have heard conversations on, what we think is very fundamental to what's going to be happening within Commvault and the direction we're going. and change fundamentally what a lot of our customers are doing and how they deal with some of the scale out issues they have in this space. So at this booth, we'll have videos going, we'll have appliances there that are available hands-on in the space and be very interactive. As part of the conversation, we see that also being tied into conversations around the cloud, conversations around the platform. So as we looked at the campus and what was going on in the campus, it was really important to keep it open and clean, because rarely do conversations happen just in one direction. So a conversation that might start at a hyperscale booth might then go to a conversation of GDPR and the privacy of it, from the application space to the hyperscale space to GDPR, and eventually to the cloud, because that's a great application to do in the cloud. So one of the things that happened last year was there was a lot of collaboration, a lot of groups, customers went from one section to the other with a group of people. So it was a really intimate conversation with folks, and they had some great abilities to do it. As we said, this year we've added in a couple things like GDPR. We added in a SaaS-focused environment, because we're seeing a lot of applications, a lot of concerns about high availability for those type of applications and other things. So, but we were able to keep that same kind of intimate feeling and ability to have multiple different conversations with multiple different subject matter experts very easily, very cleanly. The other thing that's great last year is we had a tremendous amount of customers who would jump up to the whiteboards and start explaining themselves. So they would be educating each other in this process. So again, we wanted to keep that same kind of look and feel as part of the experience while we doubled it in size. So on the content itself, let's talk real quick. We have essentially double the content of last year. 2/3 of the content is coming from analysts, customers, or partners. So only about 1/3 of the content itself is actually being led by our folks, because we think some of the best stories are coming from those people who leverage the technology to do the special things that they do on a daily basis. So where many conferences you get the sales of here's our stuff, this is all about the community and what they're doing. So I think we're very excited about where it's gone and what's going on in the space.
All right, so in terms of where we're standing now, we're going to talk about the hands-on labs with Don in just a moment, but I also wanted to point out we're extremely excited to have 4 Diamond sponsors this year. We were targeting 3, so it was a bit of a challenge when we got 4, believe it or not. It sounds like a great problem to have, but it was a bit of a challenge. So it's CDW, Cisco, Microsoft, and Google. And you'll see some of their booths back there in terms of some of the larger booths. There's others there in different areas. A lot of the areas that you see back in here, in addition to there being some additional breakout areas, there's a lot of the partners and different sponsors are back in this area as you come around. We won't walk this way. We'll eventually go around this so that we're not on the white carpet, but we'll hit out there in just a second.
Cool. All right, so for the hands-on labs, there's actually going to be 2 main sections for what we call structured hands-on labs. And last year, it was one of the things we kind of added in just to give some people some really good kind of hands-on keyboard time of doing things like, okay, how can I really do DR in the cloud, and a couple of other real specific use cases. And what we saw was that instantly got booked out, and it was one of the top performers for our customer showcase. Surprise, surprise, right? So from that, we decided we had to definitely go double, triple down on what we're going to do hands-on labs. We've actually added 10x the number of labs that we had last year, or at least lab slots, so that people can have as much access to getting their hands on a number of structured labs. We also have some on-demand labs that are in the middle of the show floor itself. That's a little bit more of a viewlet. How does this thing work? How do I kind of configure, say, search for this type of data set? Or how would I maybe configure and do an object level restore from a VM? Some of the more basic things that maybe customers are getting a little bit more accustomed to doing and just kind of get their hands wet. But the structured labs are really to go deep. It's also something that's been sponsored by Amazon. So Amazon's provided us the compute and storage space. Everything we're doing on structured labs is being driven directly out of the cloud, again, to showcase how Commvault and the cloud work hand in hand together, and that how a number of the things that we're going to be showcasing in those structured labs are driven through those cloud technologies. And just something else to help kind of reinforce that aspect and also that sponsorship.
Great. Thanks, Don. The other piece that you'll see from here a little bit that I'll just point out, as you look around at the different pieces, a lot of the statements that you see against the different demo pod areas is just meant to reinforce this overall theme, right? The data is at the heart of doing remarkable things with your in your business. So as you walk through here, I would invite you to just sort of check out a number of the different points. The wraps that we have around the pillars all try to reinforce this point that data is at the heart of doing remarkable things with your business. So a lot of the graphical treatments that you see are really just calling out the data behind a lot of the things that are happening every day. Okay. So in the spirit of trying new things that might be complete failures, we took the leap of creating this little bit of a fun area with, Mark has told us, and actually it's back there, there's cardboard furniture, and this is a little, and it's right there too, there's cardboard area to talk about the number of things that you're trying to balance. So we've had a little bit of fun, as you can see here, with 10-foot towers. I think there's going to be some sort of there's some sort of a small step ladder. So we'll see whether or not we have a little bit of fun. So many of the things we're trying to do at this event is also to try to bring a little bit of a levity element to it. So I don't know do we have any of the picture areas set up yet? Or yeah, they're set up too. Great. Awesome. Okay. So you'll see a couple more lighthearted areas. This is one of these lighthearted areas to hopefully let people have a little bit of fun as they're here. So this area that you see right here, there is one of the balancing acts you always have with a show like this is that you want people in your sessions. You don't want them sort of just sitting having individual conversations. We probably over-rotated on that last year, and we basically gave nobody any place to sit unless it was in a session. So we've tried to be a bit more accommodating this year. So you'll see this is an area that is sort of a place to be able to congregate. There's an overall, what we're calling the Lincoln Bar over there, which is a coffee bar in the morning. And then eventually, as some of the later night things happens, it turns into a real bar. Whiskey bar, beer bar kind of thing. So this will be sort of an area to provide a little bit of a chance to congregate. But at the heart of this truly is enabling more one-on-one opportunities, right? There's so many folks here that are truly experts in their field, and we want to provide both formal and informal chances to be able to have a conversation. So this whole space here is trying to drive some of that informal conversation because of the amount of expertise we have sort of just walking around the show floor.
So here's the whole deal. We talked about hyperscale with some of the Tech Field Day folks that are here. I think a lot of the analysts we've talked to about hyperscale. And the whole idea here is how easy it is to swap out infrastructure, do it during production, doing it during normal working hours, and not having to worry about doing maintenance windows. So having a little bit of fun with the idea of how we can help replace and improve backup architecture, backup infrastructure. We've done a number of things that kind of poke fun at, hey, while you were stuck in your data center replacing that purpose-built appliance with another bigger purpose-built appliance so that your backups could run, I was out hanging 10 on Big Kahuna. Or you'll find I caught this big fish, or I climbed Mount Everest. And what they're meant to be are just simple 3D photo capturing things where people have a little bit of fun. Everyone loves to take photos. And you'll actually have a 3D surfboard where you can just basically grab the surfboard and stand there, and it'll have the actual words in the background with the ocean in the background with them in focus with the surfboard, just as a fun, interacting with the show floor type of thing. We hope people start to tweet it and just have fun with the idea and think more about, okay, what can hyperscale do for me in making backup infrastructure easier to swap out and stay current and scale as my business needs it.
Great. Thanks, Don. And last year, if you were here last year, believe it or not, one of the most popular things we did, we had a big wall that highlighted our relationship with China Light and Power, and we put these ridiculous bicycles in front of them where you could ride the bicycle and it would charge your phone. And I don't know why anybody would ever want to do that, but there was constantly people on them. So people kind of just like to have a little bit of fun at these kind of things. So we try to accommodate. You never know. Okay, so truly a work in progress. You can see that is the surfboard that eventually is going to be up in that area. So there's a number of things that are sort of still happening as we go along. Thank you. So it's this is a lot of the things you see mismatched. This is the hard work that goes into some of these events in the wee hours of the night. So there's a while you were trying to add capacity to your backup system, I climbed a mountain. So anyway, these are just silly little things we add to the show. So where you are now in terms of the corner of this show, one of the things we try to do to make sure we're trying to make sure folks are experiencing the entire event is to drive traffic in certain ways. So what you're seeing right here is actually the only entrance to the food area that will be occurring for the 2 days. That whole area back in there will have, and it's natural light that overlooks the water, is where we'll have a number of different food stations. I think it's 5 different food stations and food from all around the world kind of thing. So we'll be drawing people back into this final corner and sort of trying to get the traffic in the different places as we want it. That's why you put the coffee bar and the whiskey bar at the back, and this is why you put the food back here. So there's a whole thing to these kinds of things. You also see that there's a number of different sponsorship levels, as I noted, I think it's 38 sponsors that we have here this year. We had 28 sponsors last year. So it's a great growth year over year for us in terms of the number of sponsors. And as Dave already noted, the we can talk about that too. As Dave noted, a lot of what we try to do here, when we're looking at the call for content for a show like this, we try to ensure that it's not just Commvault talking about Commvault. And we're extremely proud of the fact that we have over 130 sessions that are happening over a 2-day period. And 2/3 of them are, again, being either led by customers, by partners, or by an industry influencer. So this is a great testament to the ecosystem of expertise that Commvault likes to try to bring and make available to our customers. So here's our very low-tech data wall, as Mark has identified. It's actually just another thing to have a little bit of fun with. Each one of those canisters will be filled with M&Ms, and then you can answer whether you feel not prepared or very prepared, and it actually creates sort of a reversed bar chart, if you will, or an M&M chart for folks throughout the day. So there'll be little receptacles for folks to be able to walk around with M&Ms. It's when you're trying to fill a show floor of this size, sometimes you just look to find a thing that could take up space for not a lot of money. When you look around, it's a lot of money for different things. So this is just a fun way for people to be able to interact. So it's kind of fun. Are there any in there now? Is there? Well, there you go. Help yourselves. Yeah, that might be. We have. You might need to sign some sort of a waiver, I think. As Dave and Don pointed out, a lot of what we try to do here in terms of keeping all of these breakout sessions on the show floor is to create this real vibe within the show. What they'll be doing over the next 12 hours is putting all of the speakers underneath each one of the seats and fine-tuning this so that the experience for the folks that are in these. Our sessions run from a high of about 160 people, I think, all the way down to the mini theaters are 20 or
20 seats.
20 seats. So what we do with the app, the mobile app that folks utilize and to be able to plan their agenda as they're coming here is we try to sort of put things into the right section. So you never know, and it's always an imperfect science. So I'm sure as you walk around tomorrow and the next day, you'll find some of these sessions still overflowing and some not quite, and maybe some not very full at all. So you never know exactly. But a lot of what we try to do, a lot of the science behind this is trying to drive people into the right level of and size of theater.
All right, so situated here in between the two structured labs, we have what is the Meet the Expert session. And I think a number of you may be a part of this as far as being scheduled with different customers. We also have our developers in this as well. So customers that want to really get in-depth one-on-one down to how the code works, or one-on-one what's going on in the marketplace, what should I really be thinking about that maybe I haven't. You know, that's really what this is meant to be. To allow customers that realize there's a number of great subject matter experts across information technology, across the marketplace itself, have a chance to really dig deep, get what they need out of it in that 30 to 45 minutes, and then keep rolling the next set of people in. We're going to have a little lounge area to make sure that we're checking people in, because last year this became incredibly busy, incredibly quickly. I think we've doubled the number of people we'll have, both developer-wise and, of course, as a market influencers as well. So we expect this to be another key draw. In fact, I think it's already booked up. But as always, as we see times and schedules come available, we'll see what happens. But it's probably going to be another great little session. It's situated right between the two structured labs as people kind of flow in and out.
Great. Okay, and I'll just hit this before we walk over that direction. I'll just hit these. A lot of the sessions that we end up doing on the show floor, a lot of the different conversations that occur, we tried to create these very pretty intimate different demo booths. So this is pretty common kind of a setup. And then the whiteboard. We find that for the majority of the folks that are attending here that are just trying to have some real conversations, that it's not really about a canned PowerPoint that folks want to really have a conversation. It's about the expertise of each of the people at these booths. And that's probably the key. One of the key differences that we try to work extremely hard at this show is the people that are manning these booths are true experts in the areas that they're trying to talk about. So as you walk around, I think you'll find that it's not just the fact that we've got areas and you can whiteboard, but it's the breadth of folks and the knowledge that they have that they can bring to each one of the topics in these areas. So this area is designed obviously for a little bit more of an informal setting to be able to have panel discussions and things that are happening within the show. They're pretty similar in terms of their general setup, but it gives a little bit of a different feel for folks to be able to come in and have more of a conversive, a way to be able to interact with the audience and just give a bit of a different feel to it. So I guess the last piece, if you didn't see it on your way in, I'd encourage you to try to see it on, I think probably on your way in tomorrow, because it sounds like the entrance we came in is a bit of a block off now. We jumped through a lot of different hoops, as you can probably imagine, to get the Dubai police robot here. The Dubai police is a great longtime customer of Commvault, and we're extremely proud to have them here with us, and they've brought with them their Dubai police robot. It is super cool. I'm sure in 10 years it's going to be a first generation of something that's super scary, but this is but this is super cool for now. So I definitely encourage you to check that out. And there'll be folks here from the Dubai Police to talk about what they're doing in terms of just advancing their overall drive in terms of public safety as it relates to the utilization of data. So a lot of really cool hands-on things that we want to provide opportunities for people to learn more about.